Well, speaking of the world that we're in and change, you guys remember Beyonce was snubbed for the CMA Awards.
Country Music Awards.
The Country Music Awards that are happening in November. Beyonce was not nominated whatsoever, despite Cowboy Carter being in a historical country music album where she broke records as the first black woman to come in at #1 on the top country albums chart with Cowboy Carter. And
I mean, okay. So obviously, it's a very touchy subject. Obviously, Beyonce broke, records, made history, as they kind of alluded to here, especially as a country artist. It was very unexpected of her to kind of take this route and to dive into the field of country. She had been kind of dibbling and dabbling and like showing some little hints that she might be kind of heading in that direction, but I never fully expected her to like put out an entire album that was supposed to be more country based, but she did. And it's not really a surprise that she went #1. She is Beyonce. She has like one of the biggest fan bases out there for any artist in the current scene and possibly ever. So they're going to support whatever she does almost no matter what. So that kind of begs to question, does it really matter if she was #1? Because I'm pretty sure everybody expected her to be #1, whether the music was good or not, simply off the fact that she is a massively, massively popular person. And if Michael Jackson at the height of his kind of career decided to also put out, like, let's say, a country album, there's no doubt it would be #1 and break all types of records in that field, because he's already coming over from like this massively huge fan base and following and just bringing them with them, not necessarily doing that genre proper justice or even being good considered to like what would be a standard in that field. And obviously, I think that is a massive part of why she is as big as she was, and as well, that's why the album was as big as it was and became #1. But this whole idea of it being a snub is shaky at best, because let's say like just being popular does not necessarily mean you are award worthy, and that has been a topic of contention and people being angry about for years, about some of these most popular award shows like the Grammys being like, hey, just because they were popular and whatnot doesn't mean that they were the best album or the best record or the best song. But that same argument is now being used pretty much against Beyonce. Does that mean that she shouldn't have got any nominations? I mean, I'm kind of surprised she didn't get at least one. I don't even remember whatever song she put out, whatever was the first song she put out. It did pretty well. So I'm not really surprised. I'm kind of surprised in that sense that that song didn't get nominated, but the album as a whole, I'm not that surprised, because I really did not hear too many people discussing it once the hype of it died down.
And this is according to Billboard, right? So remember all of that? So Dolly Parton spoke out, huge country music artist. She's also featured on Beyonce's album. She's worked with Beyonce. She's also given Beyonce the nod to, or gave Beyonce the nod to redo Jolene. So people are a little bit upset at Dolly Parton right now, because Dolly Parton sat down with Variety, and in this interview, they asked her about Beyonce being snubbed and what she felt about it. And Dolly Parton said, well, you never know. There's so many wonderful country artists that I guess probably the country music field, they probably thought, well, we can't really leave out some of the ones that spend their whole life doing that. But I didn't even realize that until somebody asked me that question. But it was a wonderful album. She can be very, very proud of. And I think everybody in country music welcomed her and thought that that was good. So I don't think it's a matter of shutting out, like doing that on purpose. I think it was just more of what the country charts and the country artists were doing that do that all the time, not just a specialty album.
Bullish.
What's wrong with that statement?
I think people feel like it's a backhanded compliment, because it's like Beyonce for a very long time has said she's not only country music, but country music has been a part of her genre in the music that she does for a very.
I mean, but she's not wrong. It is a specialty album. Do you consider, or do you expect Beyonce to kind of continue down this road of country releases? I don't. I think this is absolutely a one-off, a little side detour, a little side offering, but it's not something that's going to be considered in her main discography when it's all said and done. I can guarantee that. It's kind of like when Lil Wayne did a rock album. Yes, I'm sure Lil Wayne listened to a lot of pop punk and alternative rock at that time, or rock in general at that time, because that is what was popular. Just like country. Country is having an absolute moment right now. So I'm sure that also kind of spurred her on to like want to hop into the genre and see what she can do, because she's seeing how kind of mainstream and widespread it is, at least in the US at the moment it is, because like they are definitely having a moment, and you're seeing more and more country kind of like diving into like that almost alternative route where they're like bringing in direct elements of like, let's say, pop music and hip hop, and then turning out their own very popular versions of hits. Shabuzi being like a perfect example of that. So like you can't even like sit back and say like that wasn't part of the thinking for this. This wasn't just like, I want to put out a country album. This was also like, I want to put out a country album, and country is extremely hot right now. So like you're also kind of hopping on trends a little bit. So like we can't overlook that fact either.
A long time.
Do me a favor, name 5 other country albums that came out this year.
I can't name them
Exactly.
besides Beyonce.
Envy, name 5 other country albums that
Well,
came
why
out.
does that matter?
But it's the fact, but if
Because
she
we
came
don't
in
even
at-
know the genre
but
to
if she
say whether or
came in-
not she should be snubbed. You know how sometimes we watch
But if she came in at number 1, right? If she came in at number
And he's not even wrong. I don't even always agree with Charlamagne, but I absolutely agree with him now. Like I can't name 5 other country albums. I can't even name 1 other country album because that's not my genre. So it's not really my lane to say what is it, a snub or not. But I'm sure people within the genre that love the genre can name 10, 20 other albums that probably got way more play and had way more longevity and had way more impact on the genre than, let's say, Cowboy Carter. So like he has a fair point there.
1 and her
She's
record hit number 1
Beyonce.
on the charts. Her record
But the
was number
album
1
was
on the
also
charts.
good. You listen to Cowboy Carter, right?
So
That's the only album I listen to. I didn't listen to no other country
but
albums
not
to compare
one
it.
song nominated? Not one song? Not her album at all?
don't know anything else about.
So the
listen,
experts at Billboard who are listening to all these other country music albums and comparing them, and we use them for every other award ceremony and nominations, is based off of they just got it wrong this time with Beyonce.
They said her album was
and
great.
that's
I don't know.
innocent wronging.
There's not
I
one
don't
way that
know.
not, she's not nominated for 1 award.
You know how sometimes
Not
you watch
one
these
note.
award shows, whether they're music award shows or you watch the Oscars, and you be like, man, why such and such movie didn't get nominated? But you ain't seen none of the other movies in the category. You be like, how that win Best Picture of the Year? But you ain't see it.
No, you usually see them
Yeah.
as nominated.
I
You see
can
them as
understand.
nominated most of the time.
I mean, definitely, because again, that movie reference is absolutely perfect. It happens every year with the Oscars. There's a movie that nobody has seen, and people are all scratching their head. How did that get in over this obviously objectively more popular movie? Because it's not just about popularity. It's not a popularity contest. And if you are not able to kind of like watch, criticize, and react from like, well, watch, react, and give your opinion about the other movies of the year from a very like critical, almost technical standpoint, which almost none of us are unless they're within like country and like have that background of being involved in the country genre can do. You can't sit back and say that it should have gotten in over other strictly country albums.
Slime.
Sometimes I can understand both sides, but my whole thing with this is like I do think that for Dolly Parton to give Beyonce such a major cosign and for Beyonce to have such a historic record-breaking situation with Cowboy Carter, I would have liked to hear Dolly Parton say it deserved to at least be acknowledged in some way at the CMAs, because number one, I think her saying it sounds a little complicit to me.
That genre hated on her from the door.
Her saying that because these people have been doing it, whatever, it's the same thing that happened to Lil Nas X. And no, I didn't know country music at that time either, but his album, they literally pushed certain songs out of the genre because they felt like it wasn't
genre
country
hated
music.
on her from the door. They didn't even want to play her on stations. Like that genre hated on her and shut her out from the first time.
All of that can be true, but have we heard the other music to really be able to have an
And that's not really a point because Lil Nas was actually nominated. He actually won. Him and Billy Ray Cyrus's remix won a CMA award for the calibration category. So that doesn't really stand because he was nominated. He actually was nominated.
intelligent conversation about this. Dolly Parton lives and breathes country music. So I can't just dismiss her statements and say that's BS.
Not nominated for one?
I won't stop for nothing. Won't be wondering, but you didn't see.
I haven't heard
One
it.
category?
Name another song. Have you heard any other country music this year, Envy?
Shabuzi song. I don't know the name of it,
That's
but
fire.
the one that is like the chingy.
That's a fire record.
That's all I know.
But I know him because he's black and because he was on Beyonce album.
But all I'm saying is the same way that we can get the same way we
Let's be real. People outside the culture of country music and outside the genre, especially those involved in hip hop and R&B that are like true Beyonce fans, you know this because she's black and she is from the culture and she's diving into country. It's not because like, oh, now all of a sudden you're interested in country. You're not. You just want to see her win.
You can get mad at the
name
Grammys.
any other country.
You can't name a lot of the people that be in the Oscars and the
That's my
Grammys all the
point,
time, but you
Lauren.
still get upset when certain things don't.
But that's stupid. And I've already come to terms
If
with
her
myself with
album
that
was,
dumb.
if her
you're
album
dumb.
was
Yes.
great,
That you're
if it was
stupid.
number one on the
Yes.
charts, if it was number one when it came out, it at least should be nominated.
Not
if it
really.
did so great. Yes.
I don't know that. I can't.
I mean, I'm not mad at it. I definitely think at least her first single should have been nominated. I feel like it was a pretty big single. Like, it is kind of weird that she didn't get at least one little nod. I'm not saying the whole album needed to be nominated because probably shouldn't have, because I honestly, it's like one of those projects that kind of came and went from this year. But I feel like her first song did pretty well for it to be nominated. But again, when you're an outsider looking in, that's kind of what's going to happen until there's enough of you to keep breaking down the door that they can't deny it. That's typically how things go, unfortunately.
I don't know what to compare it to.
I just think that it would have been nice to hear Dolly Parton say, I believe she at least deserves some sort of recognition.
No, nobody's saying a win, but a nomination.
You know why y'all get mad? Because y'all be having expectations of people, and you want Dolly to say what you want her to say. She said what she said.
Dolly ain't got to say shit. Like, she said what she said. Why does she have to come out and say she deserves some sort of recognition? Dolly Parton personally already gave her recognition. Like, if you need a stamp of approval in country music in that genre, I can't think of anybody bigger at this moment, or almost period, than somebody like a Dolly Parton giving you that blessing and like letting people know that you're really from here and that you really deserve to be here and that they appreciate the work that you're doing. Like, that it should be enough recognition alone. Like, I don't even think Beyonce's tripping about this. I don't think that she even put out an album looking for a CMA nomination.
And it's a very informed opinion because she knows more about country music than all of us.
So as long as we keep accepting those type of things, it's going to be okay.
She didn't say those other artists were better. She said artists been doing it longer. She didn't say they were better. She didn't say their music was better. She didn't say their albums were better. She said in that statement that there's been artists that's been doing it a longer time. But
that's one part of the statement she said.
But those
she
awards,
said more than just that.
But the awards should be based off of when that artist put it out in that year. And if her album,
I haven't heard any of the other music this year to compare it to, so I don't know if she got snubbed or not.
Well,
that's just the reality of the situation.
Moving on to other people that got snubbed, Drewski and Ruby Rose. So, it's we gotta wrap
it up. You can knock it out. You can do this.
No,
you already started again.
First of all, we gotta wrap it up.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're good to go. I had to take it from behind.
I mean, further kind of talking about this situation, like, I was trying to think of like a direct comparison of this going in the opposite direction of somebody putting out a project that is kind of like hopping into a genre that's not typically their own, or that they're not, like, they're kind of outsiders in, and not getting like proper nomination or looks, or, you know, even nominations. And the only real comparison I think, especially like in hip hop, because R&B has always been pretty welcoming regardless, but like hip hop in general, which is primarily dominantly a black music kind of genre, Eminem is one of the biggest artists ever in the genre. When he first burst onto the scene, My Name Is, which became easily one of the biggest songs of the year and like game-changing and groundbreaking. Was he nominated for a BET Award? Shocker. No, he wasn't. He wasn't even nominated. The album wasn't nominated. Like, so going in the opposite direction, it's like, okay. Can't be too mad. If Eminem himself could not be nominated for My Name Is, which shook the game to its core, I think Beyonce can be okay not getting nominated for a CMA award for an album that is widely believed to be pretty. But let's keep this going. Well, first of all, you guys let me know what you think about this whole Beyonce CMA kind of situation. Are you mad that she's not getting these noms and looks from that genre, or is this to be expected? And better luck next time. And do you want to hear another album from Beyonce that is country, or that you just cool with this one off? Let me know in the comments down below.